All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So today we are going to talk about several amendments today. Like I told you before in class on Zoom and on the previous videos, we are not going to go through every single amendment because, again, there's not enough time because we are in the second semester and this is the second to last grading period. We're not going to have enough time to go through them all. So I am going through and picking out the ones that I feel are the ones you should really know about. What it means, their purpose, things like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this. The objective today, we're going to analyze the Fifth Amendment. We're going to examine the significance of the Sixth Amendment, and then we're going to create an argument on something that's kind of now talked about a little bit more, whether a domestic terrorist should retain their rights or not as a citizen of our country. Now, remember, a terrorist typically is a person who does something to our country, tries to incite fear, things like that. Domestic terrorist is somebody who's born here. They're raised here. They know our ways and they know our lifestyle and stuff like that, but yet they still inflict pain on certain people, whether it's based off race, ideology, or whatever it may be. They do this. So should they have their rights? We're going to create that argument later on. All right, so now we come to your warm-up picture. The first one says basically to analyze the picture and tell me what's going on here. Okay, so you see all the stuff here. So the judge is saying something on the very bottom. The second question asks you, what's your definition of speedy? All right, it says something about speedy trial. That word speedy, what does it mean to you when it comes to the law? Like, how fast do you think we're talking here? Okay, because people have different interpretations. So as you can see from this judge, he's saying if you want a speedy trial, why do you keep objecting? His definition of speedy is different from the defense and the prosecution and everyone else, right? So what's your definition of speedy? Do you think a trial should last a day, a week, a month, however long it takes? Make sure they get it right. What do you think? What do you see as being a speedy trial? Okay. So hopefully you understand what that means. I know it kind of sucks if you don't because you're watching this on video, and so you may have questions about this question, and I can't answer it. It's one of the bad things about doing it here on YouTube. But try your best. And again, what is your definition of speedy when it comes to the law and trials and things like that? Okay. How fast is fast enough, but not too fast nor too slow, So give me a range. Okay. All right. So now we come to the Fifth Amendment. Now, if you remember from last video, I told you about the Fourth Amendment, how it was one of those rights that's really seen as a way that protects people. The Fifth Amendment is the same thing as it really helps you, the citizen of our country, from authorities and things like that. So what I'm going to read is the red bolded section, because that's where the actual rights are right there, or the main parts, I should say. It says no person shall be held to answer a capital crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now, there's a lot going on in this amendment, and rightly so, it needs to be explained, okay? So it's very, very top. No person shall be held to answer for capital punishment, basically, unless presentment or indictment of a grand jury. Basically, a grand jury is a group of people who come in, just average citizens, and they listen to the prosecution. They don't hear the whole thing. They just get like an overall feel, and they basically say, yeah, they have enough for this person to go to trial. Or they say, you know what, no, they're just fishing here. This just seems like they don't know what they're doing. They just want to get this trial, get it going on, and get this person in court soon. So they have to go through a grand jury. Now, does every case go like this? No, only big ones. Okay. Now, next one says, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. This is known as the double jeopardy clause. Okay, now what does that mean? And some people get it wrong, and this is one of those things that some people just hear it from somebody else and they get it totally wrong. Oh, you can't be charged for the same crime twice. Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, if you commit a murder on January 1st of, say, this year, and then you go to jail, do the time, and then when you get out, after you serve that time, if you go off and you murder somebody else, you're going to go to jail for that crime. Okay? What double jeopardy means is, like I told you, you murder somebody New Year's Day, you go to jail, you get a trial, you do the punishment, you do the time, you get out. They can't come at you again and say, we're going to charge you for the murder of that, January 1st, New Year's Day incident. No, you already did that time. You already paid your time to society in jail. Okay? That's double jeopardy when they try to get you for the same crime twice. So like let's say you rob someplace and you have a gun, you shoot your gun and you kill two people, right? They say we're going to put you in jail for the murder of the bystander, the person who was there. You go to jail for that crime, boom, you come out. They cannot, once you come out, they cannot say we're going to charge you for that same murder. It's like, no, I already did the time for that murder. Well, now we're going to get you for the second one. Well, you had your chance to do it for both of them right there and then in the trial. They can't do that. Okay, so that's what double jeopardy means, paying for the exact same crime more than once. Now, let's say you did something or you didn't do something. Let's say they charge you again for like murder. There's actually a movie made about this. This woman, they say she killed her husband. She didn't. She found out that he was alive. She served her time in jail. When she got out, basically she can kill him in the middle of the road. Nobody could do anything because she went to jail for his murder, but he wasn't dead. So she got punished for something she never did. But now she's going to do it. She can do it because she served that time. So it was an interesting movie. You have to watch it. It's called Double Jeopardy, of all things. The next one, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. I'm sure you guys may have heard the Dave Chappelle thing. I plead the fifth. Right? You heard some people make that little joke. I plead the fifth. That's what they're talking about. When let's say you get arrested, the cops are wanting to talk to you, question you. You do not have to answer anything if you don't want to. Okay? A lot of times when people are arrested, they have their lawyer with them. Their lawyer will just look at them going, like, no, don't answer. Or sometimes they might nod. I'm like, that's okay to answer. Stuff like, what's your name? What's your grandma's name? That's fine. But they're asking you about something, trying to trip you up on something. That's where you can keep quiet and you can just say, I plead the fifth. It's basically, again, like saying I'm not saying I did, but I'm not saying I didn't. I just want to be quiet on the whole thing. So it does kind of give the implication that you do know something, that you might be some way involved, So there's that. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So again, they cannot arrest you and kill you, take away your freedom, take away your property without going through the process of the court system and doing things by the law. They have to do that. They can't just arrest you and then, take away everything. It's like, no. You have to have the process of being arrested. You have go have your trial, things like that. Takes a process, takes time. They have to go through that process. Next one, private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So if you live somewhere and all of a sudden the government says, hey, we're going to build a road right down your house, they cannot just do that. They have to pay you for your house property value and all that stuff. Now, sometimes they do ask you, hey, let's make a deal, things like that. Cool. But if you just say no, 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 then they'll give you the lowest amount possible. And then they'll basically claim eminent domain, basically saying that this is best for what's good for the people, the government, things like that. So if a road going through your house makes, let's say, clears up traffic jams and things like that, they'll say, oh, that's for eminent domain. So they'll pay you, but they'll give you the very least. Sometimes they'll try to make a deal, you know, things like that. Now, the Fifth Amendment, why is this important? Because one of the most important things that ever happened for people came from this. Miranda versus Arizona. This guy Miranda, got arrested. Cops questioned him, and thing is, he didn't know his rights. His lawyer was like, "Why'd you confess to all this?" And he's like, "Well, they asked me questions." He's like, "You do know you didn't have to say anything." He goes, "No, I didn't know that." He goes, "You do know you could have asked for a lawyer." He goes, "No, I didn't know that." And so the court this case went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically says, yeah, even though you may not know it, you should know your rights as a citizen. And it's a cop's job to tell you what your rights are. Now here's the thing. This is a big misconception a lot of students have, that if the cops don't tell you your rights right away, they have to let you out of jail. No, no. If they arrest you, they don't read you your rights, they book you, they try to question you, all that stuff, just let them. Okay. Once you are able to contact the lawyer, that's when you tell the lawyer they never read me my rights, right? You still would go to trial. Okay. You would still go to trial and all that stuff. But the judge, once your lawyer basically says, hey, he was never read his rights, um, the the judge will ask, where's the documentation that he signed saying he acknowledges his rights and this and that. We don't have that. You read him his rights. We don't have that. Anything and everything gets thrown out. So it's basically just like they messed up. Okay. That's what it means. Okay. Now here's your next question. Do you think that the wording of the amendments should be more specific, or is it good that they're kind of vague, that it leaves room for interpretation? So the things about, if you remember the Fourth Amendment about the warrants and things like that, they never mentioned anything about citizens having to know their rights or be told their rights in the amendments, right? They never mentioned that, but the courts basically interpreted saying, yeah, they should be told their rights. So do you think that we should rewrite it, be it more specific, or leave it alone so that future people can make sense of it, interpret it the way that's good for their society? What do you think? Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video, or I should say, you pause the video. Well, I'm gonna be moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right, can't wait to read that response. So here's your next one, the Sixth Amendment. Basically, again, in the green is the one part that's important stuff. The right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district within the crime shall have been committed. Let's see, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against them, and the compulsory process of obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Okay, another one that's packed full of goody stuff. The right to a speedy and public trial. People think speedy trial, they think like, hey, fast, get it done as fast as you can. That's where a lot of mistakes happen. It's like if you try to hurry up and get ready for school or work or whatever, you're going to forget your keys, your wallets, and stuff like that. You're going to forget some stuff. you know. So going fast usually it's not good. But the thing is, what they're referencing is back in the day when people would get arrested, if the king or the nobles and all these people, what they would do is arrest somebody and wait months, years sometime before this person had a trial, so that the witnesses who saw something would naturally forget, or they moved away, or they may have died, or something happened. So that's what they put there for. It's not to hurry get this done in a day. That's our interpretation now, but its original meaning was no, 2-year wait for a trial. No, that's ridiculous. No, no, no. And the other one's a public trial. The other part of that, because again, back in the day, they would have these courts, have them for wait years and years, and sometimes all of a sudden, oh yeah, we just had the trial at nighttime. Oh yeah, we had it, but we couldn't have people inside. Well, what happened? Oh well, yeah, he did this and that, and yeah. So it's like no, no, no. People should be allowed to see that the process went through, things are fair, you know, and that the law was actually carried out, you know. Now, the next part, impartial jury of the state and district within the crime shall have been committed. This one's kind of iffy. This one's kind of because the thing is, an impartial jury is a jury that has no stake in it. That's why if you ever go to jury duty, I tell you, do you know this person? Do you have any problem being an impartial jury? Basically, like, I don't care. You had no stake in this claim. You know, so like if a crime is like, somebody um, is charged with um, drunk driving, and someone might be, well, I got hit by a drunk driver. Yeah, you're out of the jury pool because you know, you got hurt. You're inflicted by somebody who was a drunk driver, and you might be like, put him, put him in jail. Like, what should have happened to that guy? That guy would have, he had 2 DUIs. If he would have gone to jail the first time, I wouldn't have been in a wreck. So that's what they try to do, avoid those things. The problem is sometimes when a case is so big and gets a lot of eyes and it's in the news a lot, they can't find an impartial jury in that area, in that state, in that, especially in that district. So they have to move the trial away because the one side or the other is not going to find an impartial jury. The next part is to be informed of the nature and causes of the accusation. So you get to hear what you're being charged with. All right, they can't just keep that a secret. So they say you're a traitor to our country. You get to hear them say that. Like, wait, what? They can't just slip that in there like without you noticing. Confront with the witnesses against them. So you get to hear the witnesses who say they saw you do this, that you did this, you're this type of person, whatever. On the flip side, you get to present witnesses who say, oh, he was here on this day, that time. He's a good person, character witnesses, things like that. The last part is you get to have a lawyer. You don't know the law. So if you can't afford a lawyer, one will be given for you. And their job is to help you out. Problem is, a lot of these lawyers, they work really hard. They got a bunch of cases, so yeah. I know because I dated one. And she's a public defender. And, I saw firsthand of the crap that she has to go through and day in, day out. And yeah, they go through a lot, guys. So to say all my lawyers sucked and they all they did was they just want to get rid of me. No, no, they a lot of them really try. I'm sure there are some bad ones, but the one I was dating, um, she was a really good lawyer. She gave her all every time. Okay. All right. Seventh Amendment. Basically, the right of the trial by jury shall be preserved. No fact trial by jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States. So basically, they're saying, hey, we're going to keep the trial by jury type of thing. And, the thing is, these civil cases cannot be taken away, you know, and that if a jury basically makes a decision, that should be it. But that's where we get the, um, retrials and things like that, Um, so thing is, like, if you see this picture right here of the Michael Vick, I don't know if you guys know about him with the dogs. He had dog fighting stuff going on in his place. And if you see the jury is all dogs, so that's an impartial jury. So he could get a retrial, you know. And the thing is, they'll be like, well, why do you think you deserve a retrial? Well, look at all these guys, all the people in the jury were dogs. How am I supposed to get a fair trial if everyone there hates me? So they meant to say that as like, hey, once the jury says something, that's it. But the problem is they didn't take in consideration that people are people. We're gonna hold grudges. Even though the thing that happened wasn't inflicted to us, we are still going to put our 2 cents in. Okay. The next one, the 8, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. So, in other words, if you do a crime, let's say jaywalking, your fine should be pretty small because that is a small crime. You didn't kill anybody, you didn't hurt nobody. You just basically crossed the road when there wasn't during the area where there wasn't a place for you to walk or cross the road. You should not be fined $50,000, $100,000 for something small like that. It's like, no, that doesn't fit the crime. Small crime, small bill, or small fine. Another one thing too, people cannot be tortured, for their crimes in any which way. Now, I know I've heard a lot of people tell me, well, prison's not a fun place. It's like, well, yeah, it's not a fun place. It's not, but they're not being put to fire. They're not having red hot pokers shoved into their stomachs and things like that. They're so that's punishment that they did back in the day, torturing people. Yeah, they're not doing that now. Okay. All right. So, of the amendments that we've talked about so far, which one do you think is the most important and why? The sixth, seventh, eighth? Which one of those you feel is the most important and why? So, justify it. The second question asks you, do you think that we should still have a trial by jury? And why do you believe that? So, again, like I told you, people are people. People are going to still, if there's something happened to somebody, kick the dog. There are going to be some people like, oh, that person should die. Oh, this and that. Well, why are you feeling so against it? Because you like dogs. We have that. We're people. Even though it wasn't our dog, we're still like it could have been. So and the thing is, as some of you guys may or may not, some people don't want to be on juries, so they try to find a ways around it, things like that. So, do you think we should still have trial by jury, or should we just leave it to the judge to basically say yes, no, guilty, not guilty? Or should we just continue to believe in people will do the right thing and listen to the facts, listen to what happened, supposedly what happened from both sides, and then make a decision on whether this person is guilty or not guilty? All right, so tell me what you think. Okay, so pause the video, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right, now this next amendment is one that truly changed our country forever, for the better. It's the 13th Amendment. Section 1 says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. This amendment basically says slavery is over. I don't care how you call it, slavery, involuntary servitude, doesn't matter. Slavery in any form, in any way, gone. Now it does say here except as a punishment for crime whereas a party shall have been duly convicted. Thing is, what does that mean? Well, basically it's saying like if someone's, went to trial, they're found guilty of whatever the crime, you know, they could be forced to like, do the cleanups. So if you ever seen those people on the highway, with the correction people, they're cleaning up the highway of stuff and debris and trash and things like that. They don't get paid for it, or they might get paid for it, maybe. But if they don't, it's still fine because they got convicted of a crime, they're serving their time, and they're helping out the community. So some people would see that, especially if they don't get paid, they see that as slavery. But they put that there just in case. Okay. But again, no one's profiting from it. It's just something that helps out society, cleaning up the trash. All right. The next part is the 14th Amendment, because this one came up because some people were like, well, the African Americans, they're not citizens, here. And so basically, they put this amendment in saying all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. So, in other words, if you're born in this country, you are a citizen of our country. If you're born on their territory of the United States, you are an American citizen. Okay. And no state can say, well, this person was born in, on a territory, because the United States does have territories. And they're not a real citizen. They weren't born on one of our states. No state can deny that person their rights as a citizen because they are an American citizen. Even though you may not agree with the circumstances how they were born, they're still, the fact of the matter, they're still born here. And that naturalization means that the people have become citizens of our country. They want to be citizens. They basically said, I'm leaving that life I've had before in this other country, my citizenship at this other country, I'm leaving it behind. I want to be part of this country. And I'll do the process, what it takes to do that. A lot of people do it. It takes a lot of time, to go through this process. But again, any state cannot deny them that. Because if they've gone through the paperwork, they did the stuff, they're naturalized. Even though they weren't born here, they are now citizens. A state cannot deny them the right that any other citizen would have. Okay? So, that's what that means. Now, here's the thing. Some people, have kids in the United States and then they go back to their country. Okay. Now, here's the thing. By this amendment, by the 14th Amendment, those babies who are born in the United States, they're American citizens. Even though they go back to their former country, they're still citizens of America. So when they do come back, they're American citizens. There's no way around it. So here's your next question. Do you think it's fair that a person can be born in this country and go back to their former country, where their parents are from, and still be citizens? Do you think that's right? Do you think that's wrong? What do you think? And why? Why is the key word, guys? Why do you feel this way? So explain yourself. Tell me your rationale, your thinking, okay? So pause the video, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. This next one is another one that really changed the United States for the better. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So it doesn't matter if you're, black, Latino, or whatever color your skin is. Are you a citizen here? Yeah? Are you naturalized? Yeah? Then you can vote. Are you of age? Cool, great. Now you can vote. You can't be denied. Okay. Now here's the thing. If you are of legal age, you aren't in prison, and you've registered to vote, they cannot deny you the right to vote. Now, if you said, "Oh, I'm of age, I'm not in prison, but I haven't registered yet," oh, there might be some tricky things. That's why they tell you months before an election happens, register to vote, register to vote, register to vote, because they need to get that information in so that they can say, okay, now this person, they're of age, they're not in prison, as you can see, and they want to vote. Okay. Now, if you notice on the notes, I put that little spike thing right there, because the thing is, in some states, you can still vote when you're in prison. Um, Maine and Vermont is the only states where you can vote while you're still in prison. They will bring you the ballot to your jail cell so you can vote. Okay. Other states differ on different things. Some states say that if you're on parole, then you can vote. Some say it depends on the crime you committed. If you committed a felony, you committed something worse. Um, or you don't serve your whole term, you're in appeal process, trying to get a retrial, you know, um, then you can't vote. And then there's some states that say no, if you've been in jail, you don't get to vote at all. So every state is different. So if you do move out of California, you should really look at what the law says about voting in that state. All right, so now we come to the exit ticket. Now, again, I do apologize, and I see I'm looking at the clock right now, and yeah, I'm so sorry it's gone on 2 weeks in a row over 30 minutes. But again, this stuff is so important, guys. I really hope you've listened and you know you've taken this to heart, because again, if you don't know your rights, no one's going to help you out. And the people who do maybe try to help you out, people who say they know the law, they probably know jack squat of the law. It's just what they heard or what they think. Okay, so hopefully you did listen. So, first question says, why is the Fifth Amendment so important and why? So, why is it important? And explain, justify it, back it up on why it is the most important. The next one, why do you think the Sixth Amendment is considered one of the most important when it comes to protecting citizens' rights in court? So, you may want to go back on that one if you've already forgotten. The last one says, should a domestic terrorist or a traitor have their rights taken away? Now, remember, in the 14th Amendment, it says if you're born in this country, you have rights. But a domestic terrorist is a person who's born in this country, and yet they do something to terrorize and things like that. Or a traitor, person who hates America and they want to harm it in some way and harm American citizens in some way. Should they have their rights taken away? Or should we still hold our ideals that no, they're still born in this country, you're a citizen, you should have your rights. Even if you do hate it, you still get your rights. So what do you think? Where do you stand on that? Okay. So once you've answered one of these three questions, you are good to go. All right. Guys, we only have several weeks left, so please, please, please get all your work done for this class and your other classes, okay? You guys take care, be safe, and I'll see you later, all right?